Well, hello everybody. As you can see, I have the handsome Coop from Unfair Sports joining me today after my long hiatus. I was telling Coop that the blue cat has been biting and I didn't want to miss it. Thank y'all for pulling up and tuning in to the channel. Me and Coop has some exciting news about Michael Fasusi and all that other. If you don't mind, jump out, hit the red subscriber button and turn on your post notification bells, blah blah blah. Hit the like button, share it. Let's get into this. Coop, how you been, my brother?
Man, it's been a summer. It really has. But a lot of good stuff. We're getting through. The talk season is almost over right now, and so with the end of all the talkie comes football. And so, I mean, what do we got? We got today's Thursday, so we got ball in 2 days,
Yep.
and then there's a chance that I can make it through next week.
Yeah. So this game coming up this weekend, ain't it? Georgia Tech and Florida State in Ireland.
Yeah. And that Ireland game is that's something I'm gonna have to go do here before too long. I'm 70% Irish, and man, I would love to go over. And it's been a long time since I've been over there. But I'd love to go over there and. Yeah, I don't care who it was. I mean, if it was Notre Dame from a couple years ago, I think Notre Dame and Northwestern played, and so it's a pretty cool deal. Also get to maybe educate some folks on American football.
Well, before we get into Michael Fasusi committing, since fall camp started, I tell you something that has excited me. And that's hearing how well our defense is doing in fall camp, because I've heard you and Jay talk about this several times on y'all's podcast that Brent Venables is throwing Jackson Arnold everything, including the kitchen sink, the dishwasher. And and to hear how the defense is doing, me being a defensive guy, this is exciting for me.
Yeah, and I'll just say this is when you're hitting, going ones on ones, good on good, your defense should have the upper hand. Doesn't matter which university that you're at, your defense should have the upper hand. If your offense is doing whatever they want, part of offense is setting up teams for for big shots, some elusiveness, and but if you roll out there and you can't do any of that because the defense knows what you're about to run, that's tough, especially with what this defense returns on that side of the ball. This year you've got pretty much everybody back from last year, most of the starters, and then anybody who is no longer on the team. You got comparable or upgraded. Very, very excited for development, but we got great cats like Dominic Williams and Caden Woolard coming in. I'm excited to see Des Malone out there at corner also. So I mean there's a lot of a lot to be really, really excited about. And so you have all that experience and all that defense going up against a first year collection of offensive linemen. A lot of these guys have played and have tons and tons of snaps, but they've never played together. So you have a defense who knows what each other does, and then an offense is trying to learn what each other does. And then you throw in a first year starter at quarterback. So yeah, I mean, there's going to be some bumps and bruises early in the camp.
Yeah. I reflect back, Coop. I'll give you an example of what we just mentioned about the defense in this fall camp. I remember Sam Bradford, I think his first year starter. Yeah. And I remember listening to the Sports Animal and all the Oklahoma City sport. Oh my God, Sam Bradford, he ain't going to be worth. I like to hear, like I said, I like to hear but what did Sam Bradford do that year?
Oh, he just went out and balled out, and just a little trophy involved.
Yeah, there was a little Heisman at the end of the year, but this is stuff that I've been wanting to hear coming from Brent Venables, knowing how his defensive prowess, but now he's in the role of CEO because he's got Zach Alley as
Yeah.
his DC, and he's got this supporting. And from what I'm hearing, that Zach Alley has got these guys playing like their hair's on fire.
Yeah, I mean, Zach Alley is a guy who has learned from Brent Venables. I mean, he took that. He was young. He went and put his education in action. Goes out and leads his own defense, and now he gets to come to Oklahoma. In what better tutelage than the guy who taught everything to you? So you've got Brent, who is there and available. He trusts Zach. You've got the rest of the coaching staff who, reports and does, the same thing they've been doing for the past 2 years. And so Zach also has the ability to speak young person a little bit better than Brent Venables does. Zach is a younger cat. And so with that, you get a little interpretation differences. He can simplify some of the coach speak. And, so, I mean, you also don't have to do a ton when the experience that you have, Mike, the experience that they have on that team and the just on-field coaching that they have the access to, that makes things a lot easier too.
Yeah. And also, I tell you what else impressed me, Coop, is I caught it was on the Google feed the other day. They was talking to Robert Spears Jennings,
Mm-hmm.
and he had high praises for our boy Michael Boganowski Jr.
Yeah.
And that's, really, Coop, I'm high on the defense because, like I said, I'm a defensive guy anyway, but you can correct me if I'm wrong because you've been in this way longer than I have, but I have Michael Boganowski as probably, once he gets in the mix and what he's been doing in fall camp, this guy is going to be special. Very, very special.
Yeah. I'll go with this. I think that if Boganowski is probably, I mean, if he plays at Kansas City, whichever side of the border, I think that guy is probably pushing 5-star status, coming out of last year. I talked to Big Mike, had the parent interviews and just some of the stuff that he was sharing with me on and off camera. Michael, just a lot of people were upset that he went to Oklahoma, but I mean, it's when you have the opportunity to go to Oklahoma over, a Kansas State, you're going to take that opportunity, especially going to the SEC. Going into an area where your defense. Now, I'm not saying that you can't get noticed in the Big 12, and I'm not saying that you can't get noticed, out of the SWAC or anything like that. Like, you're going to get noticed, but Boganowski with where he was at in Junction City, it was just really tough on him because he didn't get a lot of the eyeballs, and then the people who were supposed to be doing the evaluations and sending up the reports, they weren't extremely fair with him, and so. He's a guy who that's how those kids get their NIL opportunities is
Right.
it's safe to say that folks are going to know and recognize a 5-star's name a lot more than a 3-star. But you know what? This is like in the game of Monopoly, Mike. Bank error in your favor, collect $50, and I think that Oklahoma. This is we got more than $50 on this one because I mean you're starting to hear some of the reports on Michael Boganowski Jr. You're starting to hear more things along the lines of like this is a potential day one pick years down the road or he's going to be he's already commanding time on the field. He's big, he's strong, he's fast. Him, Reggie Powers III, and and Hardy are I mean like this is. It's an odd experience for Sooner fans right now because not only do we have no glaring weaknesses on the defense, we don't have a glaring weakness at safety, and probably have. I'm going to go with 5 or 6 guys at safety who could play anywhere in the country.
Yeah, I agree totally. And one we're missing out on that we haven't mentioned is Bowen's little brother Eli.
Yeah, and
I mean,
he's he's already putting himself in contention, to be in the rotation at cornerback also.
Yeah.
Bokanowski, Eli Bowen, Samuel Masigo. We're to the spot that we've got so much defensive talent and so many guys that you want to see on the field, that these first couple games are going to be really, really exciting, because you're going to get a chance to see, us clear the benches. And we'll talk about it more, here in a second. But I mean, if you're Temple, Tulane, Houston, when we start rolling out the backups, I think it actually gets worse for you.
Yeah, and me and my buddy, we're lifelong Sooner fans, and Coop, you know that my niche in this podcasting world is Sooner history and lore. That's
Yeah.
And him and I were talking the other day, and the potential. We, they haven't played a game, they haven't played a snap, but the potential. Him and I were talking, and he said, Mike, these guys that we're bringing in this year, he said, who do they kind of remind you of in fall camp, and what's their potential? I said, dude, without missing a beat, I'm like, man, that 1985 secondary national championship team under Barry Switzer and Bobby Proctor, that was, dude, this secondary is shaping up to match that. I mean, I don't know if you remember the 85 national championship team and that secondary, but them guys were good.
There's a little difference between watching films, and obviously I'm in my single digits back then, and I have trouble. I don't know where my car keys are. Oh, there they are. But I would say this, Mike, is this defense. I mean, everything's out in front of them now. It's up to them. Like, you have the talent, you have the coaching, and but like the capability of this defense, I mean, legitimately is a top 10, top 15 defense in the country this year, and they could push to go a little bit higher too. I think that their defense is going to be solid, and it's going to be. I mean, at times it's going to be suffocating. And I remember, so let's go back into history a little bit more, like. The 2001, I think it was the Cotton Bowl, and it was actually in 2002 when we played Arkansas. And I remember all we had on offense was Quentin Griffin, just running the ball. But I think we held Arkansas to right around 100 total yards. I mean, it was an absolute just smash. So, that's one of the things that I get really excited about is, that type of defense, that suffocation. And I bring up those defensive backs because those were guys who just were unwilling to fail. And so when you see the safeties and you see just the positionless freaks that we have on defense, Brent Venables, I can promise you this, Sooner fans, you're going to see, I would say, no less than 5 different types of alignments, anytime you roll out after the first 3 games, and obviously not against Maine, but you're going to have a chance to where, you've got a 3-man front. You're going to have a 4-man front. You may see 3 or 4 safeties out on the field at the same time. There's just so much capability that you have with this defense. And to talk about the exciting, the excitement of like what players you're excited about, you have zero chance to not forget somebody because there's so many of them.
Like you was alluding to a while ago, Coop. Now that everything's in place, you go back to that proverbial saying that we heard from our dad all our lives. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
Exactly.
Now, and it's up because like you said, Coop, the talent's there. The teachings, the practices, the scrimmages, it's all there. It's up to these guys now. They got to go do it.
I have an absolute hilarious admission here, Mike. I didn't realize that we were doing a live until just this very second.
I'm sorry, brother.
No, it's okay. That's okay. I'm glad. I'm glad I have some capability of decorum about myself. But yeah, no. It's. I mean, you've got. We were talking on one of our discords here earlier. Like, you've got not only great playmakers at every single level, but you've got crazies at every single level. And what
Mm-hmm.
I mean by crazies is not just dudes who are, going out there and going to do stupid things, but you have somebody who legitimately like just has a crazy twinge in their eye. And we talk a little bit about Danny Okoye, PJ Adebaware. I think that I think Dom Williams, he's probably the most like nonchalant looking guy out there. But I mean, go out if you want to know what it's like to go up against Dominic Williams, go outside and just start pushing on your house, because that's kind of what Dom is like. But you've got Lewis Carter, who I think has back before he even was committed. I dubbed him the Crimson Missile, because that guy just looks like he's shot out of a cannon every single time he does anything. And then also, you go to the safety side. I mean, with Robert Spears Jennings, Peyton Bowen, and Billy Bowman, like that's a healthy competition to where you just absolutely have three absolute studs. So again, like I said, you could start talking about guys and you're like, but then I forgot about this guy, but then I forgot about this guy, but then I forgot about this guy. And so there's a lot to look forward to in 8 days.
Exactly, Coop. And back to what I was saying, me being an old Sooner fan who loves his defense, man, I'm old, but I'm ready to put on some pads and say, let's go through a brick wall together. I'm fired up. I'm happy, and I'm hearing Danny Okoye. They're trying. They got to hold the reins back on him a little bit, because from what I've been hearing, in my terminology, is he's been going 90-0 and no breaks.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. That little bit of crazy. He's a guy who, I mean, he's hurt people before on the field, and cleanly. He has been a guy who. So I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said, it would be kind of like finding a tiger and raising a tiger cub up, and then it's playing around with the rest of your cats. I'm not a cat person, so I don't know if this is actually a functional story, but it's like bringing a tiger around the cats, and then finally realizing, like, all right, we got to put this thing out, and here we go, let's put him out into the jungle. And then he thinks that he's a cat for a little while until he figures out he's a tiger. And I think that's kind of where Danny Okoye is he has absolutely every single ounce of athletic ability. And then as soon as we get the opportunity to kind of release him and let him just go cause damage, like, I think he's going to be one of those guys who becomes addicted to hitting the quarterback.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
He will want to do it over and over and over again.
Exactly. Stephen G has a question. He's asked me about Jaden Jackson. Has he been performing well in fall camp? Okay.
Yeah. So Jaden Jackson is probably going to be fighting with DJ Terry to be a starter. And that has nothing to do with DJ Terry. That has everything to do with Jaden Jackson. Like, he is, like I said, with Dom Williams, is you want to practice against him, like, go outside and push against your house. Jaden Jackson's pretty much the same thing, except for he's 3 years younger. And so he is the guy who has I mean, now I think it's probably going to be DJ Terry is going to be your de facto starter next to Dom Williams. But don't be surprised if you see Jaden come in and get the start at one of those defensive tackle spots a couple different games.
Okay. Yeah, there you go, Steve G. Because even in spring camp, I was hearing great things about JJ. And one thing that stands out about Jaden Jackson is I please don't take this the wrong way, y'all out there in the chat, but I have never seen an Islander that wasn't a good football player.
It's and I promise you this. I don't know if you remember this, Mike, but when he committed, he let his mom make the announcement.
Yeah, yeah, I remember
And
that.
so at the spring game, you know, I won't say who, but a couple of the parents, smuggled us out onto the field, Jay and I. And so I got to go down and meet his family, and they were amazing. I mean, absolutely just amazing people. And I let her know, and she was like, oh, I remember your comments, on Twitter. And, got to take a, family picture for them.
Oh,
So
wow.
if the family picture sucks, it's my fault. But no, I'm no photographer. But no, yeah, I mean listen, Jaden Jackson is going to be a guy who is who's just ready to go from day one.
Yeah. Well, Coop, let's move to the other side of the ball and let's talk about that big announcement yesterday that we got from the Fighting Farmers of Louisville 5-star offensive tackle. Is he an offensive tackle, Coop?
Yes.
Michael Fasusi.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I mean, number one, he picked the day. I mean, tell me it's not written in the stars when all these things come together, but he picked the day because this was the day that his family came to America from Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that first piece. And then it just happens to be Bill Bedenbaugh's birthday too. So you got that in there. But I mean, Michael Fasusi is a guy who, again, like I kind of said about, Danny Okoye, like Michael has not been playing football as long as Danny Okoye has.
No, no.
Michael is he's a great kid. I mean, first and foremost, he's just an absolute great kid. You saw on there on the Twitter fact that he was voted a captain for the football team, right next to Steven. You're throwing me off my game because I'm trying to not go off, but him and Sean Hutton were both nominated as captains for their team on high school for Louisville, and I think PG and I are going to try to go down and see when they play Denton Geyer, because I mean we'll get a chance to see him up against Zane Rowe, who is the 2027 defensive end, who is he's an absolute freak also. So but Michael Fasusi is a guy, and I'll tell you this. Fasusi may push to play year one. He still has a lot to learn, and because he's still learning. But when you're that big, you're that athletic, when you're that good, of just an athlete, you can afford more mistakes, Mike. You don't have to completely depend on technique. You don't have to completely depend on footwork. And but if you have Fasusi go through the rest of this year and then be an early enrollee and get in with Bill Bedenbaugh, I'll say this, and this is full credit goes out to Josh McCuistion because he kind of said it. Don't be surprised if tackles are set pretty well, if Fasusi plays guard year one. I mean, he is going to make himself be on the field. And that's what you're wanting. And for anybody who says, I'm breaking my stride here, Mike. For anybody who says that Bill Bedenbaugh offered playing time or guaranteed playing time to Michael Fasusi, like, you apparently don't watch enough OU content, because Bill Bedenbaugh is one of the biggest hard asses on on this coaching staff, and he's not going to play you. I mean, you've seen how he dealt with guys like Savion Byrd. You go out there, you make a couple mistakes, your butt is getting pulled immediately. Mm-hmm. And so, but yeah, this is it's the highest rated offensive tackle that or offensive lineman that Bill Bedenbaugh has gotten. I think that he's going to have his name in the conversation for recruiter of the year on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, he's a stud. So, but this is a kid who has ever since he came to the States, it was paying attention and watching watching football, consuming that stuff. And Bedenbaugh got on it about 3 years ago. And that's,
Yep.
so it's been a long, long journey for Mr. Fasusi.
I was sitting there thinking earlier today, once you get Michael Fasusi, Daniel Akinkumeni, EPL, and those guys from who we know are going to be playing, you get those individuals gelling together to where they can know each other without saying anything
Mm-hmm.
and gelling. That offensive line is going to be the Rock of Gibraltar.
Yeah, it's. I mean, a lot of people don't put a lot of stock in the 24 class because, because of the Grant Bricks situation.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I'll just say this: EPL is. I mean, he's already pushing his name into early playing time.
Yeah.
He is. He is an absolute. He is an absolute. I mean, he's an absolute athlete. I mean, I would like to see him, and I call it the Star Destroyer package. And a man can dream, Mike, but
Oh, yeah.
you're down on the goal line, and if you bring in EPL as a a jumbo tight end, and
Mhm.
you run a reverse where you hand off the ball to EPL, and he gets against an edge, the Star Destroyer package, Mike, because it's not a jet for the jet sweep. Like at that point,
Right.
like I don't know if there's anybody who is going to willingly be like, sure, I'll tackle this fella. He's going full speed. He runs a 4.6. So yeah. Let's make this happen. If you're a defensive back, that's where you just look at the coach and be like, I'm not doing it. And so,
I'm
but
not.
he's looking really, really good. Isaiah Autry is another kid that a lot
Yeah.
of people will not realize. This cat is going to be he's going to be another one. He's going to be another one out there on the offensive side. So I know Bill Bedenbaugh likes positional flexibility, keeping these guys. Let's learn a little bit of the guard side. Let's learn a bit of the tackle side, because he likes to put his best five, and he really doesn't care what your ego tells you. If you're in a guard or a tackle, he's going to put the best five out there.
That's right. Well, I told you back in the green room that I had a little story that kind of fits in with Michael
Yes, sir.
Fasusi. And yesterday after he committed, uh, which I'm going to be honest with you, Coop, when until they commit for OU, I don't I don't get excited
Mm-hmm.
because of what with the David Hicks thing and all that. So when he finally committed, the first thing I come across was SI on Google and his measurables. I think SI had him. Now you can correct me if I'm wrong. This is from SI that that his measurables is 6'6", 284. Which I've seen 290. I've seen 6'5".
He's 6'6". If you're watching the Instagram live with us, Sean Hutton was the one operating the camera, and so I might have to see. I'm not going to bother them right now, but I might have to see, because I think he's closer to 300 already.
Yeah,
Than the 285. I mean, if you watch, during the summer, this is a guy who's about business. He wants to be better. He knows what, I mean, he's been told what he has the opportunity to be, and he wants to go do it, because when you come to America, his opportunity was to provide a better, for his family's improvement. And then when he found football and he started hearing some of the stuff that he could be, that was it. That he wanted to be a football player. And so you watch him grinding, and you watch him just making doing all his workouts, and that's the hard work that you want. And that's what you're going to have to do if you want to come here, because if it's all about the paycheck and you just want to show up and be a starter day one, probably ain't the place to be, because you're going to have to work for it. And I don't know, I never heard anybody saying anything along these lines, but you're gonna once you show up on Bill Bedenbaugh, he doesn't care if you're a 1-star, 2-star, 5-star.
right,
When it's your turn to run, you better run.
right. And what I was alluding to, I'm just going to go with the measurables that I seen yesterday.
Mhm.
I seen 6'6", 284, and I'm like, you know what? This who am I thinking of? Who am I thinking of? So another buddy of mine, I got several friends. He's originally from Stillwell, Oklahoma, and he's been living in our community for about 15 years. He said, Mike, Fasusi committed. I said, yeah. He said, have you watched any of his stuff on YouTube? I said, I sure have, and this kid is good. He said, I got a DVD for you that I took some of my mom's 8mm and put DVD from 1972. His brother was in the marching band for Stillwell. The name that jumped out of that 1972 class. Do you remember an offensive lineman from OU by the name of Samuel Clappin, aka Sammy Jack?
The name strikes me familiar, but again, Mike, I'm only 21 years old.
Yeah. I mean, you've probably heard his name in conversation with some of the older Sooner generations. Well,
No,
Sammy Jack came to OU in 74 and started from 79, and then he got drafted in 79, originally to the Cleveland Browns, but he went to the San Diego Chargers with and protecting Dan Fouts. Now, Sammy Jack's time at OU, he started out 6'6", 285, and by the time he left OU, he was 6'7", 295. But he, yeah, big old Native American. He was Cherokee Indian originally from Tahlequah. But anyway, Sammy Jack blocked on that offensive line for Barry Switzer. He blocked for the best running backs we ever seen. Joe Washington, Elvis Peacock,
yeah,
Billy Sims, Kenny King. Billy Sims has said several times he owes a debt of gratitude to Sammy Jack for his winning the Heisman. But back to Sammy Jack. When he showed me this game in
yeah.
Stillwell, the hair on the back of my neck stood up and goosebumps because Michael Fasusi's type of play and Sammy Jack's was dang near mirror image of each other. And I'm sitting there going, whoa. He said, yeah. He said, Michael Fasusi's going to be that good. And that just stopped me in my tracks, Coop. I just
Well, I
thought
mean,
I'd share.
I mean, okay, so yeah, Stephen G, 298. So I heard 300, but I again don't know where my car keys are. So, but I mean, I just say, I mean, what he has the opportunity. I mean, again,
Yeah.
I don't ever like to be a definitive person just because the fact that, I mean, a lot of stuff can happen, right? But he has the opportunity to what Beatonbow has done with 3 stars, tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
Now give him something like this to work with, and he's going to
Yeah.
be he's got house money going on right now because he's going to teach him how to be a technician, and Fasusi will get how much better he will get just right away
Mm-hmm.
is going to be monumental. And another cool thing is that they've kicked out Sean Hutton from center out to left guard so that they can put
Oh,
him and Fasusi together out on the edge. And so, I mean, that's going to be that's going to be something to see because both of those guys get to, sit there and, play together and to, communicate better. And I think that, some of the stuff that Michael is going to be able to point out to him, and he's going to be able to point out to Michael, like, again, like he's just going to sit there and learn. So yeah, this is an absolute, stud of a pickup. And this is a dude who there's not a college in the NCAA or any of the lower levels that would not have, love to hear their name called yesterday.
yeah. Yeah. So, like we was saying, Coop, next week, next Friday, what is it, 6 o'clock against Temple? I, you know, I am getting sick and tired of being sick and tired and being sick and tired of listening to we're going to go 7-5, 6-6 in the SEC. We're going to get dog walked. Does people not realize what we're returning this year? I mean,
It's I don't think. I mean, I think that I think it's just lazy. So there's one of two things that is happening. Number one is this fan base is phenomenal. The OU
yeah.
fan base, especially on social media, everybody is absolutely phenomenal. We've got talking about Okoye, we got a little bit of mix of crazy and persistent. With
Mhm.
OU Twitter. And now everybody is going to, TV is dying. Like, I just left the world of TV, absolutely done with it finally. But TV is dying, and live news and live sports are the two things that keep TV relevant. And so when you've got
Mhm.
clowns from FS1, who I'm not even going to mention this jerk's name because he's a clown. They don't It's no longer about sports analysis. That's why ESPN is no longer about sports analysis, because it's
Right.
not it's harder to pander to. I mean, you have to pander to the watchers. And so
Right.
most of these people, they don't know ball. They don't know what they're looking at. They couldn't name 5 people on Oklahoma's football team. Like, they really can't. They've done no studying. And so
Mhm.
what do they do? In order for them to get people talking about them, tuning into them, hitting their socials, you got to say something. You say something bad about Oklahoma. So you go in,
Yeah.
you say something bad about Oklahoma, and bang, now all of a sudden you're relevant, because are we talking about this joker if he doesn't say anything? And then recently it was an idiot Texas fan who reshared something from 11 months ago and thought, oh my god, this is look what he said. Well, no, it's an old clip there, Karen. So like
Yeah.
let's calm down. So anyway, so it's either that deal to where they're doing it for clickbait, or
Yeah. Stephen G
it's
said.
just pure uneducated. And here's why, Mike, is if you say, like, hey, listen, it's a new offensive line, we got to see how this works. Sure, that is a question. Is it a concern of mine?
Mhm.
No, it's a question.
Nope.
It's a new quarterback. Is that a concern of mine? No, it's a question. Like, how's he going to play? Right? We had Spencer Rattler, who was phenomenal in the first half, his first year starting, and then never did anything on the second half. And so we absolutely just, I go with this is you see them going, well, Oklahoma, could go 6-7 because the schedule, and that's just
Yeah.
lazy.
Yeah.
But then you don't look at, well, listen, LSU returns a brand new quarterback.
Yeah.
Tennessee returns a brand new quarterback. South Carolina, brand new quarterback. And guess what?
Mhm.
None of those cats were the Gatorade Player of the Year.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Also, Ole Miss coming out of scrimmage 1, offensive line being shuffled around quite a bit. Need to get that thing tightened up. That's a big concern. Okay, so
Mhm.
you've got that situation right there. You've got other teams with, nobody's making these comments about Florida or Auburn or anything like that. The reason why it's about Oklahoma is because it's just absolute just laziness. Because if we had an average offensive line coach, I think I'd be a little bit more nervous. But
Me
it's
too.
Bill it's Bill
Yeah.
Bedenbaugh.
Yeah, it's Bill
And
Beebo.
Jackson Arnold is extremely talented, and the weapons that he has around them are kind of ridiculous at this point.
Yeah.
So, and that's even with Jaden Gibson going down. So I'm just saying this is
Right.
anybody who is still saying that stuff, because watch tonight. I encourage everybody to go check out Josh Pate tonight. I have a feeling, and it's an educated feeling, that Josh Pate might talk a little bit more favorable about this brand and a little bit less favorable about that one. Why? Because he started doing some research. He started looking and going, okay, well, hold on a second. Texas lost their top 5 receivers. They lost, the 3 best defenders that they had. They were 116th in pass defense last year. And now
Mhm.
they've lost 2 running backs before you even kicked off.
Right.
Hmm. So Texas getting a lot of it right now. I just feel like this is everybody saw Texas. Texas's back has been Texas's back was about as long lasting as winter is coming. You know, it was
Right.
like 8 years we've been talking about Texas's back, and so now what's going on? Texas, goes to the playoff last year. And I think a lot of people were like, well, I mean, Texas is really good, right? They got to be, right? They made it to the playoff. And nobody realizes, oh, you beat Texas last year. Nobody realizes that OU has dominated Texas for
Ever.
since color TV. So I'm just saying that, I mean, these are all facts. These aren't opinions.
You're right.
It is an absolute, it's an absolute fallacy for anybody just to go through and say, put the questions on. So again, it's clickbait or just lack of education.
Yeah, exactly. And there again, I can go back to the early 70s when I first started following OU football. Texas, we're back. We're going to be there. Earl Campbell was only 1-1 against OU in his time at Texas. I mean, I've been listening. I've been listening to this all of my life, and me being older now, I used to get fired up. I mean, red in the face, punch you in the nut. Now I just laugh at it because they have one good season, and here's a point that everybody is missing, Coop, is Quinn Ewers has never finished a freaking season without going out 1 or 2 games.
And I like Quinn Ewers. I hate the Texas fan base because they've got, and again, I think the Texas fan base is used to being pandered to and protected by their content people, and I think that's one of the big things. Is you know what, you gotta just be careful, because I think if you pander to them and tell them that they're a lot prettier than they are, and then they don't get a date, then all of a sudden they're not going to trust any of your words anymore. That's rational thought, though. So anyway, I don't want to talk more about Texas.
Me either.
Let's talk Temple, because I am Mike Boganowski in the house. I love this.
Hello, man. Big Mike. Glad to see you, brother. He's a wonderful man.
He's I don't like him. I'm just kidding. Hopefully we'll get a chance to hang out here in a couple days. But I will say this is if you are, things to look for the Temple game is I'm going to go with about 45 players playing to 55, in the first half. We are going to dump the benches, because the Temple coach came out, I mean, a while back and said, hey, listen, this is going to be a game to, we are going to let, empty the roster. We're going to let everybody play. So here's my concern is somebody's going to get hurt on Temple.
Yeah.
And here's why, is because imagine when you pull the starters when you're one of these games that you're really playing it for just a big check. And you come out and then you're down by 35, 40 points. And then they pull the starters and you're like, all right, thank God they pulled the starters. Now we can at least be comparable. I've said it a couple times, Mike. The starters on this Oklahoma defense might be the least athletic of the bunch.
Yeah.
And that's not a shot at them. That's just the fact that
I've heard you say that time and time again, Coop.
And it's just the fact that if you take these guys, and this coaching staff has done phenomenal. Brandon Hall, Jay Falai, Todd Bates, Miguel Chavis, Brent Venables, Zach Alley, all the way across the board, and you get the right people. Not only just the right people, like the right athlete. And I know he's in here, but like a Michael Boganowski, a guy who's willing to go out and absolutely bust his ass and to put all of his athletic capabilities and then have the right attitude and drive himself to be better. You have basically held Michael Boganowski on a chain all summer long saying, let's just not kill anybody. Let's quit. So now here you are, the second string Temple running back. and you come trotting on the field, and then standing across from you is Danny Okoye, Lewis Carter, Michael Boganowski, Jaden Rowe. Like, you've got all those freaks out there. Like, this is not going to be fair. So I'm really, really, and I'm dead serious. Is I think that they need to probably do a running clock in the second half, because I don't think that this is going to be good. And when you play not to hurt somebody, that can get yourself hurt. So these guys are going to have to go out and play, full speed.
It's going to kind of remind me of, what was that show Adam Sandler played in where they was a prison football team?
Oh yeah, longest yard.
The longest yard. It's going to be.
It's I mean, hell, I mean that's not too far off. My daughter's soccer team practices on that same field that they used in that movie. It's just it's terrible. But I won't go there. But no, it's some of the things you're going to see is, you're going to see an absolute just straight up vanilla defense, vanilla offense. I don't think we're going to see anything crazy. I would like to say that there's going to be some featuring of, the tight end a little bit more, the running backs, stuff like that. But I'm not 100% sure what this team wants to put on the film if you don't have to. So
exactly,
if you see, my hope here is that the defense outscores Temple. Our defense outscores Temple. That's a fumble, a pick six, something of that nature. I want to see the edges just play straight up and get home often.
Me too.
I would like to see no less than 6 or 7 sacks, no less. If we could get a double digit, a double digit sack day, I'd absolutely love that. But also, let's just make sure that there's no just massive busted coverages. That's one of the big things. I don't think that you want to mess with that. Is just no busted coverages. So, and then let's get out healthy.
Okay, go ahead. Okay.
Let's get out healthy.
Yeah. Stephen G had a question for you. Who do you think will lead the team in sacks after week 1?
Jackson Arnold. I'm just kidding. I would say I'm going to go Caden. I'm going to go Caden Woolard. I think Caden Woolard is going to. I think when you look at PJ, it's going to be hard for them not to focus on him. And I think that you're going to want to see R. Mason get out there and just do some good stuff. Ethan is probably going to be working on. It's kind of like hitting in the batting cages. I think a lot of people don't know about Caden Woolard yet. If you play the video game, you kind of do, but it's a video game, right? No offense to Justin Beebe, but who the hell is that? No, you're not going to see Justin Beebe walk out on the field, but at running back. But you're going to want to see those guys get home. So yeah, I would love to see. I'd love to see Caden Woolard throw up a little hat trick. I'd like to see R. Mason get home once. I'd like to see PJ. I'd like to see him do some damage too. So, but don't be surprised if, Grayson Halton or, Stephen here says, Dominic Williams, don't be surprised if those guys get in there. Dominic Williams he's not a guy who is going to be a massive, pass rush guy, but he's also just so much stronger than anything they're going to be able to put across from him.
Right. Well, Coop, you told me you had to get out about 4:04 or so, 4 o'clock. It's almost there, brother. I don't want to keep it.
No, that's okay. Yeah, I can hop off if you want to keep on going. I just appreciate you. I'm glad to see you. I'm glad to see you back, Mike, because I can tell in the chat a lot of people missed out on you, and then I had people asking me, on this show, on our show, when I went on with Jason, a lot of people missed you, brother.
Well, I'm back. Like I said, once early summer and deep into summer, the blue cat get to biting real good, and
sitting on the dock of the bay.
And then I'm neutral, sitting on the dock of the bay, brother. So what I'll do from now on, when fishing season's starting, I'll let my folks know that, hey, I'm going to be out of pocket for a long time. I'm not going
Okay.
anywhere, but
Well,
but I do
yeah,
appreciate that 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 does show me that who my subscribers who know me and my content, that that says a lot, and it means a lot to me. It really does.
yeah.
So,
Well,
guys,
man,
I'm glad to be back. I appreciate all of y'all who have emailed me, uh, got in some of my old videos and asked questions. Guys, there ain't been no health issues. I promise you, I'm healthy as a horse. So I'm glad to be back, Coop. I hope to be working with you some more this season. Uh, I'm
definitely.
trying to get Jay on the show. I'd like to have him on once. So,
Well, he's Jay's, Jay is he's now got Locked On too. So between family,
yeah.
work, Locked On, and Unfair, and then all the other videos, he just sends out the show pony
He,
to spread the word.
well, I know he's a man of many hats. So, Steve G, my prediction, uh, I'm going to say I'm like Jay, 10-2. That
Yeah.
and I'm standing by that. And just for the record, before we get out of here, OU going to upset LSU by at least 7 at Death Valley at night.
I would we need to probably go game by game, but there's a lot of questions in the SEC this year, and I think a lot of
Yeah.
questions that people are glazing over. And so, again, your schedule is really, really tough based off of last year. Well, there's not a lot of rinse, wash, repeat coming back. This year. And I know Steven is he's the owner operator of the 13-0 bandwagon. So just it's like paying the a coin to the boatman, if you want to get on the fantasy island of 12-0. I personally would like to see some difficulty for this team, because I think that's what makes you tougher in the playoff, is going to be have an opportunity to find some of your holes and to get them addressed. So I'm a 10-2 guy right now too.
Yeah.
If it's my dream scenario is going in and playing SEC championship year one. I think that if you're 10-2, you go to the SEC championship, win or lose, you're in the playoff, and nobody wants to see you right after that.
Sooner in Texas, you don't have to worry about me picking Mizzou over OU, because I treat Mizzou like I do Texas. They won't ever beat us.
It's no. It's that team.
So
They need to focus on selling tickets to their games, because their coach is in there begging on the social
right.
medias to sell tickets. So, but yeah, Mike, let's do it again, sir.
Let's do it again. And Coop, thank you for joining me today. Thank everybody. Thank all y'all out in the chat for coming in and chopping it up with Coop. This is the legend, Coop, and I'll see you on the backside. We'll do this again sometime. Boomer sooner.